Okay, the time is now 4:30 PM, March 3rd, 2026. Call to order this meeting of the Budget, Finance, and Administration Committee. Begin with a moment of silence. Mr. Root, would you pray for us?
Yes, sir. Pray with me if you'd like to. Well, dear Father, thank you again for this day that you've made, this gift to us. Help us to be present in it and to enjoy each moment, to live it to the fullest and in a wise and good stewardship way. We certainly pray that as we enter into the budget season, that you would guide counsel with stewardship and wisdom and light in mind. Give them direction to be just good caretakers of the money that the county citizens give to them and spend it well. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Reed, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next is approval of minutes from February 27th, 2026 budget workshop. Motion, second, Mr. Elliott, all in favor? All right, next we have discussion items, fiscal year 26-27 budget discussion. We're gonna do roads and bridges and building codes. Mr. Johnson, you have anything to lead us off with? Or?
Yes, sir. Just one item, real quick, council here, I wanted to give you.
Sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to direct council's attention to, this is one of the many things that we are changing as we go through the budget process and we evaluate our financial processes. If you look at the use of fund balance on that first page there was a it's about $1.1 million in that use of fund balance. That was put in as a revenue. And what is confusing about this, the reason I want to bring attention to this is because to any person that read this, they would see you got 1.8 basically balancing, canceling out 1.8 in expenditures. So 1.8 of revenue, 1.8 expenditures. However, that 1.08 is actually not a revenue. And so that's what's confusing. So if you turn to the second page, I want to show council moving forward for these fund accounts, we're going to be tracking them in real time as we go forward. And so if you look at the bottom of that page, you've got net change in fund balance, and you can look over there to see the 1.087 million shows your actual change in that fund balance, a decrease. Your beginning fund balance and your ending fund balance. And so I think that's really important because when we're making these decisions, we'll be able to clearly see how much money we're starting out with in those fund accounts, how much money we're ending with, and the changes. So that's all I have for now, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. All right, next up, Mr. Reed.
Name is Kyle Reed with Oconee County Roads and Bridges. I appreciate y'all having me up here to discuss the budget. So I'll run through some of the stuff that we noted, mainly the stuff that had changed over the previous year. And then if y'all have any questions about capital equipment or buildings or anything like that, go through those. But main thing that changed over the year was professional, and that is Tribble Center. We have them come and clean our offices there, and they went up just a little bit on their pay for that. And then data processing, we added in an Adobe subscription, and then that is our AutoCAD and our sign shop work order or sign shop software to make signs. The gas and fuel, pretty self-explanatory, but that's just tracking what our usage is year over year to go up to the $4,100 number. water, sewer, garbage, same way. Safety items, going from 10 to 12. A large part of that is, steel-toe boots for the department, and then safety vests, orange t-shirts, things of that nature, to get the guys covered as far as the PPE stuff, chaps, safety glasses, those kind of things. And just requesting a little bit more money for those items. Food, which is our, water and coffee and department recognition, which is typically, we try to, about every quarter, have a cooking at the department, bring all the guys back in and give them a meal and, thank them for the work that they've done. Clothing and uniforms, again, based on year-to-date actuals, just some of the stuff, damaged clothes and stuff like that, through our uniform company. And then the larger change, we're looking at about $30,000 in change from our 10 fund of an increase, and that largest change would be, going from 300 to 325,000 for vehicle maintenance, and that's, again, tracking year over year, what we've spent, on vehicle maintenance, making sure we have enough to cover that.
I have a question, it kind of came up last meeting with, Stone. Vehicle maintenance, is that vehicle maintenance coming from a motor pool? And do we track that as an expense to the motor pool, and does it show up in the motor pool side too?
Yes, that is mostly the motor pool doing work. It may be invoices charged out to, any number of vendors that we have, the type of equipment we have. If it's something that the motor pool thinks that it'd be better served getting fixed at a house, then it would be sent out. But the vast majority of all that's gonna be motor pool.
Okay. Stuart, just help me remember that. I want to follow up a question with you later about how that tracks.
Okay.
Anybody have any other questions for Mr. Reed?
On one I've got, Kyle, is, you look at gas and fuel oil, is that for heating?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. That is
And because you got gas and diesel at the bottom.
right, yes, sir. And, that stayed pretty consistent as far as the gas used or the diesel used, but yes, sir, that's the gasoline and diesel for the trucks, off-road diesel for the equipment.
Okay.
And then on revenue side, we had a large project come in this year, most of y'all are aware of, with Charter running broadband throughout the county. And, we've received over $70,000 from that project, and some of that's still outstanding, checks to deposit, trying to work through some things with them. But, don't really want to tie it to next year, because this has been two reoccurring years of higher revenues on the encroachment permit side, but the vast majority of that's utility companies. And then stormwater assistance, we're low this year, and that's us charging 2.5 times the cost of materials if somebody wants us to put in a culvert pipe, or if somebody wants us to do a drainage job that is not really a benefit to the road, but it's encapsulated in the road, so it's not like, over the years, it's not something we've tried to sell, that we can do this kind of stuff to, not get into competition with private business. And then sign fees, pretty much the same way. If somebody changes the name of a driveway or adds a new subdivision or something like that, then those sign fees can come from us, but they're 2.5 times the cost of materials on that end.
Let's go back to gas and diesel.
Yes, sir.
How's that played out with the actuals the last couple years?
We've generally been pretty consistent, around 10% with how much that we've used.
Yeah.
Some years have been more, depending on how much trucking we've had to do for like storms or something like that. But generally, it's stayed pretty consistent with gasoline and diesel for the crew trucks, and then diesel for the trucks and equipment.
Just thinking with everything going on in the Middle East, we got no idea what the fuel was gonna do the next.
Yeah, unfortunately, diesel's not gone down, right?
Yeah.
So, that's a little bit harder to forecast on that end. Hopefully, the diesel side would come down some, and it may come in, cheaper than that as far as the gas side, because gas has dropped. we're tracking pretty well where we've tracked before. Any other questions on the 10 fund? And then the next sheet is the capital equipment request. And again, I can go into depth with this. You know, I'd like to just briefly discuss the year one request, year two, some of the larger items that we have on here, and then, you know, get y'all's feedback from that. But we wanted to get a 3-year plan in front of you just to kind of see where we're going. On this end, the first one is a motor grader that was budgeted for this fiscal year, and it would replace the 1992 John Deere motor grader that runs the Seneca route. A 3-ton asphalt roller to get a little bit larger roller to try to get more efficiency out of patching and paving. Because right now we've just got a 1.5-ton roller, and it's more of a driveway type roller. It does the job for patching, but this one would be better in that end, just to, you know, less passes and getting to where you're covering more area when you're getting up behind the paver and that kind of thing. Broom tractor to help with paving and to help with ditching, to get the road cleaned off. And requesting 3 3/4-ton pickups, and they would be replacing 2011 F-250s that all have, you know, 230 plus miles, you know, 230,000 plus miles on them. And then those trucks, I'm sure, would probably go to, you know, some of the other departments like the parks and places where they stay internal. And then snow plows for those as well, because we're getting, our fleet's getting these older trucks. It's harder to retrofit these plows to newer pickups that we have, plows on the trucks currently. And that comes to about $780,000. Typically, we're getting around $400,000 to $500,000 through the capital vehicle replacement fund. So knowing that this is a little bit higher on that end, you know, obviously the motor grader and the asphalt roller would be, you know, what we would look at, and then we would, you know, decide between the broom tractor and the pickup truck, knowing that y'all have other concerns with capital equipment. And then the next year, the 27-28 request would be, the big thing would be a milling machine. And, you know, the 750,000 number, that was for a used one, a large used, you know, very low hours. We would try to get that in as low as we possibly could, as far as looking at used and trying to find one that was maintained well. We knew the maintenance records of, working with Jeremy to see if we could find one that would come in cheaper than that, but that's a budget. And all these are budget numbers, so, you know, some of them pretty tight. That one I wanted to call out because, I mean, you can get as large and as new as you want to get, but you're spending, you know, a fair amount of money on that. But it would just be a budget thing. We would be looking for, trying to minimize that cost on that one. And then again, the next large item on that list is going to be another motor grader to replace the 2001 Komatsu motor grader. And then anything else that y'all have questions on, that was the things that I wanted to highlight on my end.
Kyle, I appreciate the 3-year lookout.
Yes. And we can go further out if y'all want, if y'all would desire. That's just what we've done in the past. And same way with capital plan for road paving or bridges and culverts. Kind of deal to give y'all a better outlook. I think me and Mr. Jones had talked about it earlier. We can go out as far as y'all like to go. Just, you know, the further out we go, the fuzzier it gets, kind of thing. But it would at least give a view of a plan.
And I think max like 5 years, although
Yeah, generally,
5
yep.
is fuzzy. Some things like landfill and stuff, we probably need to go out further, you know. But yeah, I think 5 years would be decent. But
Yeah.
And then you start fine tuning each year you get in. Well, your 3 years pretty
Yep.
solid.
We can get that back to y'all before further budget meetings then.
Anybody else?
And then the only other thing I had was for capital for buildings. There was 17,000 approved, because the road department leaks in places. It's an older building, manufactured building, and the grommets, washers on the screws have kind of held up as long as they were going to. So re-screwing the building, but it's, several tens of thousands of screws to have to replace. And then there's a roll-up door in the back and the lintels failing. So just blocking that up if we don't have a need for that garage door, so just blocking it up, closing it off. Was the request for that. It was approved in the one-time capital fund for this year, but I'm not sure if that's gonna be, carried on any further, if it'll go to next year, but that's the only thing that I would have for capital buildings.
Anybody else? I just wanna say too, I meant to say at the meeting after the storm, and it slipped my mind. I got several emails
Yeah.
bragging on the ice storm and the county's response on county roads.
Oh, good.
And how well the county roads were maintained compared to the state. And I know where I'm at, I leapfrog county roads to get
Right.
to Highway 28, because you had, what is it? Vernon Mill, it looked like a gravel road you had, because it's so
Yeah.
good.
We're gonna have to work a little bit on how much sand we're putting out, on those things, and we are switching over from sand because river sand's gotten so expensive to screenings from the quarry. But yeah, some roads we've had to go get a little bit back up off of, because it's not washing off.
But it worked, it got
But
us
yeah,
down.
it's, the goal was to keep people safe, and thankfully, I didn't hear of too much. There was a lot of people off the road, that kind of thing, but thankfully, there wasn't too many bad wrecks.
Yeah.
On that end, but I did tell the guys at the department how thrilled I was with them, and it'll go a long way to tell them how happy the other
Yeah.
citizens were.
Yeah, I received a few emails.
Well, thank you.
Most people don't understand state and county roads, but these did, and they called out how much better the county roads were. So-
You'll know about how much sand's on them, yeah.
Yeah. I tried to slide, I couldn't even slide on Vernon Mill. So. All right, anybody else? Thank you, Mr. Reed.
All right, thank y'all for the
I'll
time.
say one thing, Mr. Chair, real quick. I want to commend Director Reed also for your work in planning
Oh,
and in things
thank you.
you've done. I mean, when I get calls, somebody called about a pipe somewhere on a road, and Kyle knew exactly where it was, like me describing it to him. I mean, so his knowledge of, our roads, of infrastructure around the roads and everything is very much appreciated. He's been
Thank you.
stepping in and helping us tremendously, so.
Just so you know, you wasn't there, but at a strategic planning meeting, we nominated you to lead the training effort on customer service.
Well, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, a lot of these problems come up at the same time, so when people call in, like I know them,
Yeah.
like it's a personal level at that point, so yeah, it's easier to deal, easier to help them whenever you know them and have talked to them several times, kind of deal.
Kyle, we appreciate
Thank
it.
you, thank you, I appreciate it.
Hi, Mr. Sobek. This is building codes.
Yes, sir. My name's Stephen Sobek with Building Codes. I'm here to present this budget for this cycle. First time I've ever done this, so bear with me. I'm gonna try to not stumble through it. If you guys can, just turn around and don't look at me. I feel like our budget has been pretty consistent, throughout the years. However, we have a couple of things that have changed. One of those, I guess, will be our professional account, and that's with RCI. I know that we've had questions and meetings about that in the past, and what we've done is we came up with like a 3-year, we've came up with a 3-year, hold on, just give me 1 second. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank, but I am.
So the
Yeah.
projection,
Sir?
Stephen, is the 3-year projection?
Yes, yeah, basically, yeah, over the 3 years, whatever the averages were, you know, came up with a projection of what it would cost this year. And, you'd have to go through to, I think it's, pages, let's see here. We have the contract, you know, for RCI between pages, 3 and 18. And then there's a breakdown on page 32. So if we go a little bit further. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna request, you know, the higher range of those averages to try not to have any overages. And that's kind of what we've been running into over the years, because there's really not a good way to project exactly how much RCI is gonna cost, you know, for their plan reviews, because depending on what type of, projects that we get in the county, that plan review fee could change. So, you know, as of right now, you know, we're thinking that at minimum, the plan review range is gonna be between $95,000 and $100,000 this year. But it only takes like one commercial project to change that number entirely. So one of the things that we have, you know, asked that may be an option is to change the way that we budget for this. And I don't even know if this is allowable at all, but if you go to, where it says Building Codes, professional account, we have some suggestions and solutions at the bottom of those pages, that we were curious if we could get away from actually budgeting for that projected number, which is something that we have no clue, you know, what that number is gonna be, to potentially paying RCI through the plan review fees, or excuse me, through the permit fee. So once the permit fee and, the plan review fee is paid, then we could actually pay them RCI through that amount. I don't know how that works. I know that we have to budget and put money into an account to pay them, but we go over that number every single year. And, you know, during last year's budget cycle, we were asked what a projected amount was gonna be, and once again, you know, we didn't really know what that projected amount was gonna be, so I think they just kind of threw a number out there, like a couple $100,000, do you think they'll do it? And my answer was, I have no clue. I don't know. So we can ask for a lot and not use it, or we ask for this projection, which is really uncontrollable, and go over that amount. And that's kind of what we've been running into, especially with the plan review fee portion. Now, we also utilize RCI for inspection services. We pay them mileage. We also use them for our state mandated building official. So we have to have a BO. Currently, right now, I'm working on that. I haven't taken all the exams and got my certifications yet, but that's something that I'm working on doing right now. So I figured that would be a hot topic. I don't know if anybody was, you know, made privy to that before this, this meeting, but, I'd like to be able to answer as many questions as possible, at least for that portion. And Casey's actually here with me to help me through that, if there's any questions about that. Also, when we're changing the budget, this year for, staff development, which is what we would use for continuing education, code cycle, you know, code books, things like that. So this year in January 1, that should be the start of the new code cycle, which will be the 2024 code cycle. So we're gonna have to get new books. We're going from, I think, $7,500, what we had budgeted last year, and then, or this year, excuse me, to $10,000. I believe the last time that we got it, which would have been the 21 code cycle, it was approximately $5,000 what we spent just for code books. So just for books on that, you know, continuing education, you know, as we hire inspectors and as they have to get recertified, you know, biannually and get continuing ed, that all costs money. So our plan right now, you know, we have 3 staff current. We have a new potential inspector that has to go through his county physical, and once he gets through his county physical, we're gonna hire him and set a start date. He will be required to get continuing education just to do some certification renewals. So that's why we're asking for $10,000 as opposed to the $7,500 previously. And then under IT replacement, one of the things we've been talking to IT about was transitioning over from Apple iPads to Microsoft Surfaces. And if we get the Microsoft Surface, then we can double that as the desktop in our office. So we can eliminate the cost of desktop and monitors and things in the office, which we would have to get a couple more for the new inspectors that would be coming on board soon. So if we eliminate the iPads, we can get the Microsoft Surfaces, and as of the quote, it was $2,000 per setup. So with 5 inspectors, we're asking for $10,000 for the Microsoft Surface. So we can save money, you know, with the equipment that we have right now by switching over. Anybody got any questions about at least those parts? Oh, I'm gonna try.
Let me give you one.
Yes, sir.
Wouldn't it be cheaper to hire somebody rather than use RCI? I mean, at one time, we had somebody on staff that did this, different plan reviews and plat reviews and
I
all
agree.
this.
100%. It would be, in my opinion, I feel like it would be cheaper if we hired somebody to do plan review, and somebody that would be in-house doing plan review, and then potentially part-time, like, commercial inspection. So if it was slow, they could still go out in the field and do inspections. Because right now, we're utilizing, you know, 2 RCI members that are out doing field inspections for us, plus the building official. So by, you know, eliminating RCI, we have to be fully staffed. So that's one of the things that, you know, we've got to hire people, we've got to train those people, and it can't be something that's done like just immediately until we're staffed. But I feel like it would be cheaper by far in the long run to get rid of RCI and hire our own plan reviewer. Yes, sir. And that's our goal already. We just haven't got that far yet.
So the position is there, we just not been able to fill it.
So the plan review position is not there.
Okay.
That position is not there. The inspector positions are there. So the problem is you just can't hire just anybody for the position, because you're either hiring somebody and they're coming in as a provisional inspector, which they have to be trained, and it takes about a year at least. And even after a year, it's kind of like, you never know. You know, it depends on how good they catch on, and it also depends on if they're passing exams and getting certified. So they have to pass certifications to maintain that provisional inspector status. So yeah.
So I see your asterisk for positions at the bottom,
Yes, sir.
8, but you said on numerous occasions we've been told we only have 7.
Yes, so in previous budget meetings, it shows right here, you know, that we have positions for eight employees. And we have asked, you know, is that number accurate? And we were told that that number is not accurate. That number is supposed to be 7. Now, where that number came from, I have no idea. That number, 7 positions has never been reflected on this other than in 2022.
I got another
Could
question.
that be the stormwater position that was created? John, do you remember that? That never got filled, stormwater engineer?
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
How's this gonna affect when planning and zoning moves in with y'all? When they put into one department?
Is that a guarantee that that's going to happen, or?
Talk to that man right there.
We're discussing it, yeah,
Okay.
we've got a number of pieces, and we've got some very qualified candidates for the planning director position, so, you know, it's not set in stone, I mean, that idea, so, and we wanna do the best thing, you know, I mean, of course, for our whole system, so, we're looking at, the initial idea that was discussed was bringing, like we talked, some of those resources from planning to help with the inspection process in building codes and some of those positions, some of those openings, but, yeah, I think we're not doing that as of right now, Councilman Hart can tell you. But we're working on it, so.
Well, at one time it was part of it. Both of them were together.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The community development, yeah, we're assessing it and looking into that. I think I've come to the conclusion we need to get past this budget process first, and then we can look more into that. But I've got two very well qualified candidates for the planning director position. So we had discussed if we wanted to hire that, we definitely need a planning director, for sure. So, we had discussed if we wanna hire that position or if we wanna restructure before we hire that position. But we're definitely in need of a planning director. And we're gauging the situation with RCI and the need for other positions, so.
It's complicated.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
I think it all like boils down to being staffed. You know, and that's just my opinion. Yeah, like if we were fully staffed and zoning and planning, we're already fully staffed and everything's going well, there's no complaints or anything like that, maybe we could do some integration and it wouldn't be I don't think it would be a problem. I think right now, I mean, of course we had our discussion and we're getting there. When that's gonna happen, I don't know.
I'll say this too, part of the disconnect, that we had initially, so I think when RCI, and going back to the hiring versus continuing to use RCI, I mean, definitely the goal is to hire, our own inspectors. Stephen how long do you have till you're certified as a building official?
So that day, I mean, so when I take my first exam, I get a year and a half to to do all three of them. So, I mean, and like I explained, you know, to Mr. Jones, I said, you know, I could probably get that in a week. I don't know if I could take all three exams and pass them all in 1 week, but I'm sure it's possible. Now, that would eliminate one thing on here. That would be the building official hours. So that's it. That's probably that's the lower end of all the costs for RCI is the building official hours. Which means, you know, right now I'm out in the field like 75% of the time. So whatever those costs are and what Brian is doing as a building official, whatever time that's invested with that, that's gonna be part of what I'm doing now. So, that being said, we gotta have people that can go out in the field and do inspections. So, you know, we have to have commercial inspectors. And right now we only have one provisional commercial inspector, and we're getting ready to hire another one. So these guys they are provisional and they do have some certifications, but they're not fully certified yet, meaning that they have to obtain those certifications annually. But it's more than just that. It's the training part of things. So yes, you can be certified, but do you actually know what you're doing? So I know that in like 2017, that was like one of the issues. Yeah, we got a bunch of guys we're certified, but they don't know what they're doing. And I'm sure there's more to the 2017 deal than I know. That's back with David Stokes and there was a bunch of other inspectors here that were terminated. And I don't know all the reasons why. I never really got into that. We were able to keep our positions as inspectors, me and a guy named Jake Ramey and Scott Carroll, only because I turned down RCI for the opportunity to go to work for them. So if they were to have had staff at that point in time, basically the county inspectors that were here would go work for them. Probably there wouldn't have been a building codes department for Oconee County, you know, not in-house anyways. It would have been probably an RCI doing those inspections back then, but they didn't have enough people to take over this entire county and do all those inspections at the time.
I'll say this too real quick. I think the consolidation idea, I think we can do it long-term. But right now, doing it quickly here, we're gonna compound issues that are going on. And so I think we gotta resolve the amount of inspections we're doing with RCI. So we're working on that portion of it. Then we've also got this planning, the zoning and planning side to everything. If we combine them right now, we're gonna be combining issues that we're having in both departments. We gotta resolve those, and then I believe we need to pursue it, so.
I agree.
One other thing too, part of the what I was saying earlier about the disconnect, the way we were accounting for the budgeting of RCI was basically leaving a deficit. So for the current budget year, we're doing transfers on a monthly basis to cover RCI. But it was just an accounting, issue of how that was being done, because of course we're getting paid, we're getting the funds, but we're getting the fees paid from those inspections. They're just going into a different account, if that makes sense. And so we're fixing that on the back end, so it'll be more clear.
So some of the other things that we're asking for also is, once again, to be fully staffed, we are also asking for a permit technician. So we'd like to have a position for another permit technician. So since 2017, Casey and Cynthia, so Casey Neal, Cynthia Adams, have been basically running that department. There's 2 people in there. We're open, 5 days a week, 8 to 5. We don't close the doors. They're there all day long. They don't take lunch. So they gotta figure that out. If somebody goes on vacation, that leaves 1 permit tech in the office, and there's nobody else to help out. So we're having to, be back in, 10 minutes to go to the bathroom. But basically, they're by themselves every single day. There's nobody else to help them out. So we're requesting a position for another permit technician. Now, in the past, we've asked for this position, and we've been told that we could have a part-time employee. And for a period of time, we did have somebody part-time from one of the other departments here in the county. And that ended over a period of time. Of course, they had to go back to the assessor. It was somebody from the assessor's office. And, last year we talked about it again. Is there any way that we can get another full-time permit technician? And of course, the answer was, we'll look into potentially part-time again. Now, in just my opinion, somebody being part-time, I feel like there's too much to have to know for a part-time person to actually be useful in that department. We actually need somebody that can be trained and actually help out. So that's something we're requesting. Once again, trying to get back to being fully staffed and, get rid of RCI, potentially, join 2 departments. I feel like it's gonna take some staff.
Stephen, on that
Sir.
extra position, so if we find out, and the question came up about that 8th position, we can find out about that. So you may be at 8 at that point, 8 real positions, so.
But then we have the plan review position, which is one of those things that would not be part of this cycle, but I feel like at minimum next year, once we get some employees and we retain them, hopefully we can hire, a plan reviewer, a commercial plan reviewer.
Would that be separate from our zoning and planning?
Yes, sir.
What
It would be
separate
a part of building codes.
Gotcha, okay.
And I know you were probably thinking about subdivision plan review.
Yes, yeah. So, okay, so the commercial plan would be just strictly building code.
Correct, yes,
Okay.
sir. And not to say that, I feel like we need at least 5 building inspectors. At minimum. Cause right now we have 5. And you guys asked, how long would it take for me to get the BO? So now, when I get those certifications and I take on that position, how much more work am I gonna have at that point? Am I gonna be able to go out and train people every single day? And that's kind of what we've been doing since 2017. It's been train somebody, hopefully retain them for a little while, and in a lot of cases, we're kind of at that 1 year mark, and some guys can't pass the certification, so unfortunately, we have to let them go. So, that's why it's so tricky to hire, you know, and Amanda would tell us, you know, previously, we'll just hire a bunch of people. Well, it's not that easy, you know, it's not easy to hire somebody that doesn't at least at minimum have some type of a construction background or has a grasp on just anything construction in general before we send them out of your house. You remember that.
Yeah.
I don't know, when did you get your CO? I can't even remember.
16 or 17.
It was right before the event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was gonna bring that up too. Like, we talk about customer service. Stephen probably did 90% of my inspections, right? And you were relatively new then, right?
I was, yes, sir.
Long before I was on county council, for anybody to speculate anything, but you was great. I have a neighbor down the road who just brags on you, cause he owned a building, you did his inspections, just the customer service side of things. I think it makes a big difference, cause I had heard when I was doing mine, nightmare stories, you know, so I'm like bracing for like the worst, like it was smooth the whole way through. And then, like I said, my neighbor, I think it's the same way, you guys still handling people right and treating them right.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So we gotta figure out the RCI thing, how we wanna budget it, so we don't just always go over budget. It's one of the things that's self-funded anyway, people are paying the permit fee, so. It's kinda the same way we project revenue at the Rock Crusher, right? We project sales and budget for it, but we don't know what it'll be.
And that's kind of why we put that solution in there. Me and Casey talked about it. We'd have to look at that account. But I have no idea. I don't know if it's legal. I don't know. But basically the account that, the building permit goes into, is there not a way to pay out of the same account the fee for RCI? And now we don't even have to budget for it anymore, you know, it's like.
Yeah,
Okay, I just want to
Go
clarify
ahead.
something. So, when RCI bills us, it is for everything altogether. So I went through and broke it down. So and there's a lot of documentation in here that I'm sure you guys can, look at later, but we collect, so RCI only receives a portion of the permit, and it's actually only a portion of the plan review fee. But we collect that plan review fee up front in addition to the permit fee, as well as the other half of that plan review fee. So if we could ideally budget inspection services, mileage reimbursement, and VO hours temporarily to the professional, would it be possible to pay RCI out of the plan review line item that we collect for, since it's just a portion of that? And there's a breakdown on, what page is it? On those, there's 3 spreadsheets. No, it's these. Yeah, so shows, I went back fiscal year 23-24, 24-25, and 25-26 up to January 31st, because that's the only bill that I've received from them. And it breaks down what we collected in just that line item, which is specifically for plan review, as versus what we paid RCI out of. That would just split it instead of making the professional line item look so enormous.
Miss Sally?
I don't know is it possible to pay out of a revenue?
No,
Okay.
GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles, does not want governments to take and pay or apply an expenditure against a revenue. Only if it's a refund. but not a true expense against a revenue.
Would that apply also to, say, monthly transfers from that revenue to whatever, to pay that amount?
I don't know what you're meaning.
Like instead of paying it out of the revenue account, transferring, and this may be the same, you're saying that's the same?
You
Okay.
cannot go either way.
Okay.
You have to keep the two separate.
Okay,
If you start commingling, then we will get a write-up.
Yeah.
And we won't look
and
at
we
that.
didn't know, it was just an idea because that, we are collecting that money plus more in that account, just to try to provide a solution of a way of splitting it where it didn't appear so hefty.
Yeah. I mean, payroll is not on here, but the whole department is self-sustaining. You know, I mean, it's essentially an enterprise fund. I mean, it's generating positive revenue.
So we didn't know, we do all these averages and it's like, we talked about, do we do a 10% overage or a 20%? Is there like where is this number? Because it's hard to project
Plan review fee
plan
only.
review. Yeah, it's
Just
so
like-
difficult.
After we provided this, I called Stephen in there yesterday and I'm like, I got 2 large commercial project permits yesterday. The plan review fee, just the half of that we're paying RCI, one was 20, or maybe they combined 2 permits, it was 25,000 we're gonna pay out. Now, we're collecting way, way more than that. But that was just 2 permits I received yesterday.
Yeah.
So that's hard to, the only way to present it to you guys was to actually do estimates based on actual numbers. But that portion you never really, it's very hard to estimate.
Permits, are they still rising year to year, or is it tapering off, or?
Rising.
Can we stop that, by the way? Can we talk about something else for a second? Let's talk about that.
Yes.
Let's slow that down.
I mean, I guess the safest way would say, take your highest year's actuals, and then your year-over growth that you kind of been seeing, and work in that percentage with a little bit of buffer on top of that.
reason we had a hard time is because I could only use, so 22, 23, we did not use two inspectors from RCI on a full-time basis. So I omitted that year, but then I only have a portion of this current fiscal year, so we had to do,
We just averaged it out and then we did it for the entire year.
Yeah.
so really it was 2.5 years, but we made it work to where it would be 3.
The salary study, and we didn't get into the weeds of implementing it, so we don't know how it got implemented across the board. Did it affect y'all? Did it help you? Did it help you retain or recruit, or?
Okay, so entry salary is the hardest part because there's nobody that I know of that, graduates from college or goes to college and goes, I want to be a building inspector and I'm going to go get all my certifications so I can come work at Oconee County. So we get a lot of guys that have got a ton of experience with construction or maybe doing like project management or something like that. So and they're super intelligent, but now we can only hire them as a provisional entry-level building inspector residential. And that is around a little less than $20 an hour. So we can hire them at that number. Now we tell them, hey, and we're very straight up with them, you got 1 year or you're fired. We don't say it like that, but you gotta pass your exam in 1 year. So now we're starting to train. And then they bump up, I think it's like 80, 90 cents once they pass that first certification. And they get step raises as they go. And they change their pay grade as they get certified. Now, when you're really starting to make some money is when you have multiple certifications, like all your residential, and you're going through all your commercial. So It does help out. It gave us an avenue and something that we can tell, potential new hires that, hey, this is how much you can make, you know, if you get all your certifications. But it doesn't really help out starting, especially with nothing or yeah, without any certification, that's the hard part. Because a lot of these guys are coming from jobs that, you know, if they're doing project management, they're already making $30 an hour, you know, $35 an hour.
With the provisional certification, then they have provisional status to do the job, correct? Just not.
Provisional license. So they got the provisional license,
License.
and they can go out and do, under supervision of the building official, they can go out and do inspections on every trade in residential, which is kind of backwards when you think about it, because technically I can send a guy out there that's never seen electrical wiring in his life or opened up a service panel before, and that's your guy doing the inspection. So that's why we've been very reluctant on hiring just anybody. We're really trying to find the certified professionals, and then in addition to that, I really prefer the guys with the on-the-job experience that have been around it. Of course, they don't have those certifications, but they relate better with your builders, in my experience. So you can have those conversations, and we got some tough builders around here, and we know what happens when they get upset. So we want to keep them calm and have a bunch of guys that know what they're doing when they're out on the job.
So can we bring up the provisional license pay without threatening the people who have license? We give a little bit more to get people in the door?
So we can. So in the past, it was like I know previous administration could do without council approval, it was like 4%. So we could do whatever that starting was, you know, plus 4%, and then anything in addition to that, it was really tough because now we had to present the experience, and then it would have to go to y'all after that.
Yeah, we've never had anything come to us.
We haven't had many good applicants,
Yeah.
so. The guy that we're gonna hire, he's good though. He's supposed to be starting in like, I think his exam is like on the 9th or something, the physical. And then hopefully he can hit the ground running. Super smart guy.
How long does it, you have a year to get certified, but how long does it take?
So a lot of people actually wait that first year. They wait till like the end of the year because the exams are overwhelming. It's engineering. So you could go out and basically everything that you're doing in your job on a day-to-day basis, you go and take that exam and it's like, well, that has nothing to do with anything. It's.
Three more exams. It's
And then
not just
3 more of those, and it's all like, it's something that an engineer would design a system for you, and this is how we got to whatever that final product is, you know? There's a lot to it, but the training part, you know, that's kind of the hard part is, you know, you get some of these guys and they're good, you know, test takers, and then you get a lot of guys that are good out in the field and they understand the construction, but they can't take an exam. It's mind blowing.
Yeah.
And it is, you know, for a lot of people.
Anxiety. That's a real thing, especially when you get people who hadn't taken an exam in a long time.
Oh yeah, yeah. But we're working on it, and like I said, we just been reluctant to hire just anybody because we just don't. As of right now, with the staff that we have, we don't really have the time to take on somebody and train them. So, like right now, Mr. Jones, Brad Jones, one of our inspectors is training one of our provisional guys, you know, doing residential, and I'm supposed to be training Brad Jones to do commercial. So I'm doing my best, but he's also training somebody, so it's like, we're trying.
Anybody else?
There is something at the end of all this. We're asking for another vehicle, going back to hiring people. So right now, we have, I think it's in like the last page. And there's a correction that we have to make in there. We actually currently have 4 vehicles that are in decent shape. We're missing a 2016 F-150 in here, but right now, I know Jeremy's here. I know he didn't drive it here because the transmission's messed up. But anyways, all of our vehicles right now they got fairly high mileage. We're talking like, 130 to 150. I think the F-150, 2006 has got like 170,000 miles. They're all decent vehicles, but of course, we're getting ready to hire this new employee in the next few weeks, and he's gonna need something to drive, but as of right now, we don't have a vehicle for him to drive. His vehicle would be the 2016 F-150 that's not listed on this page. So we were told in the past that we were budgeted for a new vehicle. So that was last year. I don't know whatever happened with that. I know that me and Jeremy had talked about it one time, but previous to Jeremy, I talked to Dwayne Pay about it, and I think that we were looking for a vehicle. I don't know if that's still an option for this year, but we would gladly like to have some type of an SUV, four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. And then we need to retire one of the vehicles that's sitting out in the parking lot right now. I think I would have to push it to the motor pool at this point.
Jennifer
But-
has photos of that.
There's some photos of it in there. You can't drive in it. I think there's more oil in the cab when you drive it because it's burned off the header or something. And then if you roll the window down, the headliner, all the debris from the headliner, it's hard to breathe in there. So we would like to retire that vehicle. We also have the 2006, I have to look at it. Yeah, 2006 F-150. That's one of our vehicles, but 911 addressing, that guy drives it all the time. Nick Walton, he drives that vehicle all the time. So our only spare vehicle is the one that's in the shop right now with the transmission issue, which is gonna be needed for the full-time guy that we get. And the additional spare doesn't run, and it's out in the parking lot. So I feel like we need to get on a rotation of, at least every 5 years, a couple of vehicles or something.
So with the capital vehicle replacement plan, was there ever drawn up a rotation for y'all?
Not that I know of.
Dwayne spoke of, cause
Mentioned it,
he
yeah.
called me and said the 2-year plan or whatever it was, but we never had anything in writing or discussion with anyone other than Dwayne, to my knowledge.
Frosty, you have any idea about a 2-year plan or rotation
Well,
plan?
I know Dwayne had done a 3-year plan with the department before I got into being the assistant director. Once I got in there, that plan had already been set into place, and he had all that information, and that's what we've been working off of. And then Amanda had changed some stuff around, and it got all out of whack there for a little bit.
Okay. Something we need to look at across the board for all these departments.
Absolutely. And we went and looked at like the vehicle budget, like years past, and of course, there were certain departments that were gonna get, X amount for whatever it may be. And then eventually it was just one big account, and we're gonna figure out where that money goes and who's gonna get a new vehicle after that.
It's hard to plan that way.
Yes, it is. Yes, sir.
And we may have a short-term fix, we can move some vehicles around. PRT, Phil just mentioned, has a vehicle we can use short-term. And then if you can get with us on on that budgeted vehicle that you had, let's take a look at it.
Okay.
Stephen. So, yeah.
Thank you. Anything else?
I know I'll try to do better next year if you invite me back.
Hey, it's good. You did good. It works better when we just talk.
Yeah, I like that better.
Yeah.
Mr. Hart's got a question. I know he's thinking about something over there.
I'm thinking about the rest of the night.
Oh, man.
Planning.
He got some up his sleeve. But thank you again. Thank you for the customer service.
Yes, sir.
That gets reported back, So,
I appreciate it.
yep. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Anything else, Mr. Jones?
I think that's it for now. We're planning for,
March 11th on Wednesday to have another, full budget workshop once again, so it'll be a full day that day.
So they went through and scheduled, and I know it's gonna be hard for all 5 of us to make each one. So don't have 3, we'll have a quorum, so if we all, as many as we can make, let's make, but if some miss, then some miss, but there'll be at least, we'll be gathering information.
I could be here till 11.
Okay. All right. Well, hearing nothing else, motion to adjourn,
Make a motion.
all in favor?